think about this team this year, whether it's the exhaustion that set in on the Jays, the Hayward loss, Kemba's injury status, the depth, like this is just such a brutal circumstance for this team this year. And it's been a worst case scenario on all fronts. And I think all the little things like that, guys moving in and out of the lineup, Kemba's 5-minute gap there with the starters that he can't sustain with them, all that stuff is just adding up. And they have really had such a small margin for error that I think through mental fatigue and maybe even like a disbelief in this team to some degree, they're losing more of those close games. I mean, look at Utah. Look at how that game ended. They're losing those games because of all these things that have piled up on them. And I think that they just lack this mental edge, 2-3 plays a night that could swing more of these games in the other direction. And I think what you see with the lack of pace, the urgency, getting out in transition, they don't do that kind of stuff enough. That says all of that to me more than anything else. Like they could take advantage of more of these misses, more of these turnovers that they draw, but I don't know. They just feel slow. And I think Jaylen Brown said that after last night's game. They're slow to react. Like things happen and they don't react fast enough to it. They're just moving slowly, and mentally they're a little slow this year.
Isn't
that what you see on the screen? Like they are uninspiring to watch.
So uninspiring.
Yeah.
We were texting. It's a hard team to root for right now. There's no fight.
And it's not because they're not good enough. And that's why I advocate a trade so much. What would pump this team up more than a guy coming in?
They might just not be good enough.
Well, remember Jay Crowder, Jimmy? You mentioned this a couple of shows ago. He comes in after that trade. That team was like 14-26 at that point, over 10 games under 500. And he comes in and just starts scrambling everywhere, freeing up Isaiah in the pick and roll with his screens, hitting threes. Yeah. If Harrison Barnes came in the door and started giving them that for 25, 30 minutes a night, don't you think that would wake up this team a little bit and say, all right, we got what it takes?
This whole the team mentality sucks. It just
I know what you're saying, Bob. That is contagious.
So that's the difference in dialogue we're having right now. And that's why I didn't like when Gorman came out and Ainge came out and they're like, oh, and even Jeff Source and the whole thing around that the Jays can't get this done. They are in an impossible situation, and I understand why it's wearing away at them physically and mentally. And those guys need a break. You guys admit as such. They need not only a night off, they need a guy who can take the ball, make plays for them, and make it easier for them. I know you want to hold them up to a Hall of Fame standard and say, if they're this great, they should be able to figure this out. But they're not LeBron James, and I don't think anyone was disillusioned that Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum were LeBron James are ever going to become that.
Well, there's only one LeBron James. So
and he's the only guy that can bring Mo Williams and Semi Ojeleye. Imagine LeBron with this team. Semi Ojeleye would probably be scoring like 15 points a game.
LeBron would carry this. The Celtics would be in first place in the East if LeBron was on this team. He's done that with the Cavs multiple times.
And again, we're not comparing anybody to LeBron, but I mean,
no,
it's again, I every time we have this conversation, and you're critical of the Jays. It's only because
the standard's high.
The standard is high. We keep saying it. If they were different guys, there are players out there right now who could lead this supporting cast to a better record than this. There is. It's a fact.
I hate the front office mentality. You didn't give this team enough, so it falls on Brad criticism-wise, and you start blasting the players because they're not making the most out of the bad situation you handed them. I just think it's been so unfair what the Jays have gotten this year. And you know what? They need to be better on defense. I fully agree with you guys on that front. But
I just can't get there. Honestly, like fine. Their depth is not great past like 7 or so. But
four.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about 2 all-star players. Kemba Walker, a fringy all-star and an all-star starter last year. Marcus Smart, that some people, ESPN had rated as their 38th best overall player in basketball heading into this season. And Robert Williams.
It's top heavy. It's always been top heavy.
And Robert Williams, who, Daniel Tice, who you like a lot, Bobby. Robert Williams, who's obviously playing, outstanding basketball right now. A couple of contributions from other guys, it's enough to be better than 20-20. I think we're giving them too much rope and Tristan Thompson. Okay, you have professional basketball players on this team. It's not the best cast they've ever had, but give me a break. It's not like it's like Jayson, Jaylen, and 5 Grant Williams. That's not who they're playing with. There's enough talent on this roster to be way better than 20-20, and I think it's a total cop-out when we say that I feel so bad for what the Jays have been given. They absolutely have enough on this team to be better than they are.